All right, what's up, guys? I appreciate everyone who tunes in. Welcome back to the Fountain of Truth. My name is Nick, and I just wanted to make a quick video just touching on mold toxicity and how I've been able to recover from mold illness and mold exposure. I wanted to make it pretty quick. I have done a video talking about mold toxicity in the past, but this one's going to be a little more in depth, and I'm going to show you guys my test results and what I've done and kind of the research backing up how I've been able to recover from mold toxicity. So basically a quick little overview for everyone that doesn't know. Let me screen share really quick and kind of show you exactly what I've been dealing with. This is right here. So these are my test results right here. So as you can see, I was reacting to multiple different strands of mold, candida on there, aspergillus, and I was living in my parents' basement, being exposed to mold. It was actually on the wall that was in the basement. There was a couple times I attempted to clean it, but I didn't wear proper personal protective equipment to protect myself from the mycotoxins that are released from the mold. So I lived there for 3-4 years, ended up slowly dealing with some muscle pain, some headaches, um, irritability, depression, things like that. And then it progressively started getting worse. And then I started dealing with severe digestive problems. So yeah, these are my test results. And then as I started to, sorry, I wanted to go back to me. All right, so basically, as I started to exercise more and trying to live a healthier lifestyle, as I was chasing a music career, I tore my rotator cuff. And once I tore my rotator cuff, I had a really hard time recovering because I had a hard time digesting food. So the food that I would eat, I would not properly assimilate. So I would deal with a lot of bloating. I would deal with a lot of indigestion. And then I was just dealing with symptoms almost of Crohn's disease. I was having very, very, very severe gastrointestinal problems. Ended up going to get different procedures done to look and make sure I didn't have any ulcers or anything like that. But yeah, so I basically was dealing with all different kinds of symptoms that ranged from mental to physical digestion symptoms, and then also symptoms that were affecting my musculoskeletal system. So I was having a hard time putting on any muscle mass. I was having a hard time really lifting and doing any sort of daily activities. So eventually I got down to 100 pounds at 6 feet tall, completely emaciated, malnourished, looked terrible, felt terrible. And then there came a point in my life where I just didn't want to deal with that anymore. I got a consultation with Dr. Darren Schmidt, and he was able to help me recover from mold toxicity, and he's dealt with it himself. So I wanted to show you guys a little bit of the research that I was looking at that really opened my eyes to the bigger picture and the importance of things like saunas, sweating, exercising, sunlight, vitamin D, just all of these natural remedies that are great for building the structure of your body and recovering from any sort of illness. Because I truly believe that the human body wants to be healthy, and it is our God-given right to be healthy. Our bodies are designed perfectly for this planet. We just need to align ourselves with nature and let nature do the rest. I think our bodies truly do want to be healthy. So without further ado, I just wanted to kind of show you guys exactly what I've been looking at. So I'm going to share my screen again and then show you guys some of the research that I was looking at in regards to mold toxicity. So this one is a large case series of successful treatment of patients exposed to mold and mycotoxins. And they broke these patients down into different different categories, different groups, and approximately 85% of the patients cleared completely. 14% about had partial improvement, about 1% remained unchanged. But about 85% of all the patients cleared completely and getting back to normal life, getting back to working. And that included the sauna, because the sauna encourages your detox pathways. Basically, all of our detox pathways consist of bowel movements, urination, vomiting, and sweating. So sweating is a very important one. It helps flush out heavy metals, and then also things like mycotoxins from mold. So this was one study that I looked at that really opened my eyes to, wow, the sauna can actually help. And then nutrients in general, so just eating a proper diet. So then the next study I was looking at, all of these are on PubMed. The next one I was looking at right here, the title is A Review of the Mechanism of Injury and Treatment Approaches for Illness Resulting from Exposure to Water-Damaged Buildings, Mold, and Mycotoxins. So if you scroll down, there's one section in particular where they talk about exercise, they talk about saunas and how that stuff has played a role in helping them. It's a very, very, very in-depth study. I really encourage you guys to read through all of this. But they did a study of 28 persons exposed to mold and mycotoxins, included treatments with exercise, physical therapy, and saunas, as well as IV antioxidants, oxygen therapy. As you guys can see, there's a common factor going on, the oxygen therapy, antioxidants, saunas being used in multiple different situations to help recover from these illnesses. And they found improvements in all the patients, with 27 of the 28 returning to work. So this is people getting back to their normal life, which I have been able to do. I was disabled, not able to work, literally not able to carry a case of water, even open a water bottle at my worst. And through lifestyle changes, focusing on my mental health, getting proper sunlight, getting proper vitamin D, drinking clean water, eating clean food, going to local farms, exercising, sauna, just the whole thing has really helped put my body in a state of health. And basically, if you scroll down a little bit more to the conclusions, complete removal from exposure and contaminated items cannot be emphasized enough, although it is often not sufficient for some people to regain health. So a lot of these people can be removed from the mold, but that's not enough, because you need to remove the mold from your body. So that stuff does occur. So as you keep reading, they say the treatment approaches include the use of sequestering agents, antioxidant supports, systemic, nebulizing and intranasal glutathione, probiotics, nutritional support, again with the nutrition, and the correction of persistent fungal infections or symptomatic colonization. Also, the use of sauna and exercise can be invaluable in helping to restore the health of those injured from their exposure. So the sauna plays a really critical role in detoxing from mold and these mycotoxins. So I cannot express that enough. I cannot emphasize that enough on how important going to the sauna is. 2 to 3 times a week. There are so many benefits also with longevity, with reduction of stress, with promoting circulation, relaxing the muscles, preventing injuries when used even before the workout. There's so many different benefits from using a sauna. So that's really important. So I would say the sauna, exercise, very important. But I also wanted to show you guys the importance of things like vitamin D. So there's also vitamin D, this study right here. Another very in-depth study that I encourage you guys to look at. I can include all of this in the show notes if you guys wanted to look at it. Vitamin D enhances resistance to aspergillus in mice. So basically, they're showing that they were able to use vitamin D to help these mice resist negative pathologies associated with mold toxicity. So they found that vitamin D plays an important role in host immunization against Aspergillus fumigatus, which, let me double check to see if that is one that I had, Aspergillus fumigatus. Yeah, I was high in that one as well. I did test positive for that. So vitamin D was critical, getting out in the sun, which I'm going to be doing as soon as this video is done. I'm going out in the sun. I'm going to play some soccer, just get some natural vitamin D. I also have a supplement as well. So yeah, it plays an important role against immunization, and vitamin D enhances the host cellular immune function against Aspergillus fumigatus by regulating the autophagy and Treg cells involved in Aspergillus fumigatus infection. So these studies provide a basis for clarifying the mechanisms by which vitamin D is responsible for the risk of invasive pulmonary aspergillosis and in immunosuppressant patients. So they were basically outlining the mechanisms on how these, how vitamin D actually helps you resist infection and negative symptoms associated with mold toxicity and aspergillus in particular. So vitamin D, critical role. Sunlight in general, they've shown some like petri dishes. I didn't really get it for this video, but you can probably look it up. People like gotten petri dishes and they've been able to grow candida and grow things like mold and different types of mold in petri dishes, and they usually don't grow, like they need a dark moist environment to grow the mold. So if you go out into the sunlight, maybe there's more than just the vitamin D. Maybe it's the actual UV light that actually stops and inhibits the growth of mold. So getting out into the sunlight is really, really critical. I was even to a point where I was sensitive to light. I was sensitive to sound, and that's the mold just wanting to keep you in an enclosed area to be able to proliferate and be able to grow more mold. So in this this next one, they talk about this one's not a study, it's more of an article, but they talk about UV, ultraviolet light, and how that prevents the growth of mold. So ultraviolet light from the sun kills most mold and spores, which is why you don't see it growing outside in the open. You know, you have to look in dark places, in the basement, somewhere that's wet, wood, just it grows in those types of areas. And it also grows on food. So you know, the darkness, the light, the darkness helps the mold grow. The light prevents it from growing. So what you need to do is this, your body's already prepared to detox from the mold. Your body's trying to do that. Your body's perfect. It's designed perfectly. This is how it does. You just have to help your body do what it's already doing, which is trying to get rid of the mold. So going out into the sun, going out into the sauna is just helping your body do what it's already trying to do. So get out in the sun, get some vitamin D. Basically can't express that enough. Next one I would say is a cell wall, carbohydrates, armor for fungal cells, for the fungal cell. Basically how carbohydrates help feed funguses and help feed mold. So they use the carbohydrates and the polysaccharides that are within the plants or any sort of food, and they use that to compose their cell wall. That's been outlined even this, talking about mycotoxins, what mycotoxins are, how they're produced by the mold. It's something that's inhaled and can get into your body and cause all sorts of damage. Why do fungi like carbohydrates? Just like humans are addicted to sugar, and fungi are as well. But fungi actually need the sucrose in carbohydrates. They need these sugars to build their cell walls. So I was reading through this and I was like, oh, let me see this study for myself. You click on it and then it shows you this study that is outlining how the fungus metabolizes carbohydrates to create its cell wall. So not feeding the mold with high amounts of processed sugar is really important. I wouldn't necessarily recommend going ketogenic or removing all carbs completely, but getting your carbohydrates from whole food sources, eating high quality foods like you know, even coconut oil has a lot of antibacterial, antifungal properties. Oil of oregano is really important. There's some essential oils as well, but just not feeding the mold is critical. So not eating a whole bunch of pizza, pasta, pancakes, as Stan Efferding would say, and not eating a bunch of sugar and really like refined carbohydrates is really the problem. Carbohydrates aren't really the problem as long as they're consumed properly within the context of a healthy lifestyle. So then also this is another study showing another strand of mold basically being metabolizing sugar and glucose, carbohydrates to function. And this is another study showing the same thing on how they consume carbohydrates to proliferate. And this one in Nature, the fungus Aspergillus niger degrades plant biomass polysaccharides to monomeric sugars, transports them into cells, and uses catabolic pathways to convert them into biomechanical building blocks and energy. So they're literally burning through the carbohydrates like we do. So not feeding them with a lot of carbohydrates is really critical. Eat healthy fat, eat protein from pasture-raised, grass-fed animal sources, and get your carbohydrates from whole food sources as well. Go with, make sure everything's organic. Try to go with, good quality fruits and vegetables, tubers, and then minimal amounts of grains, nuts, and seeds as long as they're organic. And be careful with peanut butter. Peanut butter is very high in mycotoxins. Some grains can be very high in mycotoxins and mold as well. So you want to go with organic. You want to go with ones that are produced in a good way, ones that aren't covered in pesticides and fungicides, because even if they don't have mold on them, they're probably sprayed with fungicides. So you do want to go organic when you can. That is really critical. I believe I've covered everything that I wanted to in this video in regards to how vitamin D, carbohydrate consumption, and sauna and exercise plays critical roles in mold, in the proliferation or in the detoxification of mold. So I would recommend getting out into the sun, getting some vitamin D, eating a high quality diet that consists of pasture raised, grass fed animal products, wild caught fish, pasture raised, or pasture raised eggs. You might want to be careful with dairy for the meantime while you're recovering from mold. Although if you can tolerate it, it's a great source of nutrition as long as it's raw, grass fed from a local farm. Going with organic fruits and vegetables, eating, eating basically the way that our ancestors would have ate is the way that I look at it. That is my personal belief, is mimicking the way that our ancestors lived. I mean, my grandparents lived well into their 90s. My grandma's still alive. She's kicking it, lived on a farm as she grew up. And I feel like most chronic modern diseases came about with this industrial food supply, industrial seed oils, and refined grains. So eat real food, eat whole foods, and get vitamin D, get into the sauna, get sweating, get exercising, get moving. Pretty much everything that we already know, your body's already designed to do it. So I appreciate everyone that tunes in to the Fountain of Truth. If you have any questions in regards to mold toxicity, you can contact me. I'm officially a certified personal trainer and a nutritionist, and my goal is to help people reverse chronic disease with diet, lifestyle, exercise. And that is my goal. So I appreciate everybody who wants to help me get to that goal. Keep in mind, guys, your health is in your hands. Thanks again.